What is up, everybody? Welcome to the 0 Hour Podcast, where we help you and your ministries navigate the biggest youth ministry shift in American history.
What's up?
What up?
That was not matching my energy.
Oh, I had to be. What's up?
Thank you.
That was it. That was okay.
If you're wearing the sunglasses like we are right now with our headsets, you have to be
Full DJ mode.
Yeah, DJ mode. Got to be amped.
Wow. What would your DJ name be?
I want to say it would be like Dr. Fun. Dr. Miller.
That's pretty good. I like that.
I'll say
DJ
the dog's
Dr. Fun? DJ Dr. Fun.
DJ Dr. Fun.
I'd go. This is awesome. What I'm about to share.
I'm so scared.
My AOL AIM, like the instant. Oh, you don't even know, dude. You don't even know.
No,
But
I don't.
The back in the day chat, like it was like a. I don't even know. It was like an app on a computer. Basically, you logged in through AOL, and AIM was the instant messenger portion of that, and that's where you'd like try to talk to girls. That was it was like the well, it would be like, what's your snap?
Like it's a chat room.
Today is like, what's your snap?
Yeah. Oof.
But back in the day, it was what was your AIM?
Yep.
And mine was Seasick 101. So I think I'd have to go with DJ Seasick. But it was just
You don't even
the
get
letter
seasick.
C. But it was just the letter C.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Come on.
Seasick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Because Cory, I just connected that.
Oh, now it's clicking.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I was
DJ
like,
Seasick. I
that's
don't know
dope.
if I'd keep the 101, but yeah.
How do you not think like? I feel like you got to do something with Mac.
Yeah, I mean C-Mac, that was always the other one.
Not
DJ
as cool as
C-Mac,
Seasick,
but
though.
Seasick just felt honestly, and that was fully inspired by And One mixtapes. I don't know if you know what those are, but And One was like this basketball. I don't know, like on the road street basketball that the guys were doing. It was like Harlem Globetrotters on the streets.
Hey.
And they were like the greatest videos ever. When you got an And One mixtape, it was like that's all we watched on reruns. And yeah, I think there was a guy, the professor was one of the best, and he was like your classic white guy that could just ball.
Oh, come on.
And yeah, that hot sauce was like probably the best hot sauce. Anyways, so it was very much me and my brothers picked names because we were trying to think about And One mixtape, like what would our And One name be? And yeah,
You guys thought it through.
yeah,
You had
we were
dreams.
committed to the game,
Okay, well, I'll give
both
that to you.
to basketball and AIM. We were
And
committed to the
AIM.
game.
Yeah, just committed.
All right, so this episode we wanted to talk through and chat about like the importance basically of, I think mainly just youth pastors, youth workers, youth leaders, next gen leaders, considering and thinking through a new lens, and why it's important that we, like as 0 Hour, we believe in partnering alongside other youth pastors and just sharing things that we've learned or fruit that we've seen, and at least just trying to catalyze a new conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we're not saying we have the answers, right? But we're also saying we've seen some fruit in a different direction. And I think there's some things to learn and also things to contextualize.
Yeah.
And things to take back with you that are important to your ministry and your demographic, your denomination. I mean, you name it. Like, they're important pieces no matter what. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think a big thing for us is wanting to partner with youth pastors, because as we're equipping students to live as disciple makers in their schools, I mean, like, they're all connected to their churches.
yeah,
And it's so huge for the students to be able to have people in their lives who model it and live that themselves, and then like invite them into living that way too, and believing in them, like as students, that they are capable of running with the Holy Spirit in the places they already exist in. And it's like, you and I can tell the students that all we want, and that's great. But for them to have their own youth pastors owning that in their lives too is just massive. Can just be really impactful for them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we long for that deep partnership with them. I think something that I was moved by recently was we had the opportunity to go lead some workshops down at a conference. And I was just really moved by the amount of people who are really wanting to step into transforming the way their youth ministry looks like.
Yeah.
Like, not just to say, because I mean, like, a lot of people, I mean, like most Christians, I would hope, would be wanting to believe in the next generation and wanting them to be living missional lives. But it's one thing to say that and believe it, and another thing to claim it and own it and take the steps necessary to transform that culture of youth ministry.
Well, I think So I went to the conference last year. Exponential Conference is what it is, and it's in Orlando, Florida, and it's been going on many years. I think probably somewhere over 20. And it's like one of the, if not the largest church planting conference in the world. So it's not necessarily heavy emphasis on maybe disciple making movement stuff or even micro church as a model, but it is like very open in the sense that it's accepting of all models, and they believe obviously in disciple making. Nobody doesn't believe in disciple making that's in ministry.
Right.
It just, there is different ways you emphasize different things, in which kind of like whether or not that is top priority or it's an addition to your ministries kind of deal. And yeah, I mean, so I went last year and with Cory Mullins, shout out to Cory, and we went to literally every single Next Gen workshop. We went to the pre-conference, which was for Next Gen, and then we went to every single workshop. And just to be totally honest, like we were really bummed by kind of what we sat in on, because all it felt like we sat in on was, here's statistics on how the Next Gen is screwed and how they're so far from God, and here's maybe some things we think they're about. And honestly, like Cory, which is Gen Z, Cory Mullins, and me not being Gen Z, and also still feeling though like, man, this is like, these stats are honestly, that's just every next generation. Like, yes, I agree that this generation is further away from the church than any other generation in American history. And I think it's because we've tried the same strategies and tactics, and honestly, there just wasn't a lot of conversation last year. And what are we supposed to do?
It was not very practical. Yeah,
it was stuff like disciple them more. It's like, okay, I feel like we've been trying that, and I also don't even know your definition of disciple them, because that looks different for different, things. And fast forward another year, and they actually asked us to teach a few workshops at it this year. First one was on catalyzing your youth ministry towards disciple making, and the other one was on microchurches in the next generation. And essentially, Haley and I just were like, man, we're saying the same stuff, and so we essentially taught the same thing both times, and it was cool. I mean, I'd never taught a workshop.
I haven't.
So, and I've been in ministry stuff for a while and never at a conference, never at that big of a conference. And so I'm like, and the first room we're in is a ginormous room with a ton of tables. And I mean, I can say I was like crapping myself, just kind of like, whoa, this is a bigger, but it also kind of made it a different dynamic where it was like, this was a teaching, not a workshop in that one.
Yeah.
Our second session was much more workshop, smaller room, but full.
Yeah.
And, it was. The encouraging part was that there is a hunger, for like a different just paradigm and a model.
Yeah.
And partly because I think probably a lot of the youth pastors, even senior pastors, are kind of burned out on the same model we've been using.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they're seeing the results, and it's not a hard conversation to have with them that, hey, the direction we're going is not working.
Yep.
Like, they see that. They're not, nobody is blind, and they all sense that and feel that, and we were reaffirming that in our workshops, just like the reason these rooms are full, and like I'll say, even last year, every room was full that Cory and I went to that was Next Gen, like where it was like people in the hall waiting to hear. And I think they took note of that, which is probably why they put us in the big room so that we weren't at, over capacity in that space. And I mean, because if we would have been a small room with that group, that no chance, like it would have fit in any of those other rooms. And I mean, it just like people are looking for the answer. They want more. And it is encouraging to hear that people are open. And even just talking with Rob and Brian from the underground who we work with, like, Rob was just like, I mean, like, I told him we had two people who kind of were, I don't know, poking, I'll say it that way. And nothing severe, pretty basic.
I mean, questions we get all the time.
Yeah. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, what? But like, I know in years past that Rob early on, like people would be angry at him in workshops, like for saying things that he was saying. And so I think Rob was just like, whoa, it's definitely changed. Like there's just like, it's almost like even just microchurch, for instance, as a term has become more adopted as a regular term.
Yeah.
When before it was like, people were losing their minds over it, and I think there's probably because the way it's getting described now has gotten better and the definitions of it and like the proof of concept has now played itself out, especially with like places like Tampa Underground and Kansas City Underground and Soma Networks and many of the other ones in the U.S. at this point where it's like, no, there are thriving communities that are operating as microchurch communities with disciple making as a focus. Like, we're not just making stuff up and saying you should be convinced to do it this way.
Right.
It's like, no, we've been doing it. Like we're experiencing it. And, part of why I'm grateful that it was after multiple years of us doing 0 hour that we then got to teach. Cause like, no, it's happening. We're watching students live missionally unlike any other form of youth ministry I've been in before or seen.
Yeah.
And seeing them multiply their lives and consistently attempt to be a disciple maker in all the spaces they exist. So we're not just making something up.
Right.
We have the real raw data and we take real measurements and we're not just numbers on a Wednesday or whatever, like real measurements from a heart posture to a obedience level to like seeing true things and multiplication happen because we measure it. And so then we get to share out of places of here are just the stories of what we're experiencing God do. And it was encouraging because there wasn't a lot of like anger or pushback. Yeah. Even the older people in the room were like pumped about it, And that is encouraging because we don't always get that. I probably felt more encouragement there than I do in our own city.
Yeah, because the reality is the everyday is really hard. Yeah. It's just easy to feel the weight of, you don't always get to celebrate all of the little things when it's just the mundane every day. But in moments like that, when you do get to share and talk about what you are seeing, it reminds you of like why we're doing what we're doing and why it's necessary. Yeah. I was curious why you think it's important that we partner with youth pastors in trying to seek a new way of doing youth ministry.
Yeah, I think because ultimately the goal should never be that, I think the old model of even Western church is conglomerate, where it's like everybody comes to the one mega thing. And it's like one person for all the people, one figurehead for everybody. And the truth is, if I just take Kansas City, for example, and we genuinely want to reach every single pocket of Kansas City, like every, with just next gen, right? If we want to reach every single pocket of that, we're going to have to partner. We're going to have to link arms. We're going to have to get messy and we're going to have to figure out the things that we agree on and don't agree on and how we come to compromise and actually operate well together. Yeah. Because if we don't start to come to that, it's just no way. We're not multiplying the workers. We're not multiplying the equippers. And if you don't multiply the equippers, you're not going to multiply the workers in the harvest.
Right.
It's just, and we have to start seeing other youth pastors and youth workers and leaders as teammates. Not, and some are not. Some are just honestly going to go, no, I don't believe in that. And they're going to do their thing. And we're like, amazing. Yeah. We're not anti your thing. Yep. We want to make that very clear. Like, We love your thing. We love the church for all of its expressions. We are just trying to find and link arms with others that are potentially open to new ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool, like at Expo, that there were many people who were interested in what does that look like? What does that mean? What am I supposed to do? Because I want that. I want whatever is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And there, over the past 3 years, that has consistently happened because of the connection to the Kansas City Underground.
Right.
And to be totally transparent, I haven't always had necessarily the answer, because sometimes I'm like, I'm supposed to give you that? Like, I just trying to be faithful where God's put me right now and see things emerge in my own city and see multiplication happen at every level in this next generation of Kansas City. And so I just go, it is important to not just make it all about you or your thing, your ministry. You're just sharing, man, God gave me this thing. He downloaded this to me literally in the midst of the pandemic. And I thought, how do we multiply student equippers and leaders in the harvest? Because they're the ones who are going to reach them, and that is essentially how 0 Hour started. And I've only then tried and experimented things, and there are going to be others that have different giftings and exist in different demographics and have different resources and have a different voice, and the way they communicate is different, and all of that is needed.
Yep. Yeah, if we have all of these different people with all of these different types of gifting, that's how we're going to reach the city. With all of these different types of people who need the hope and the love and the care of Jesus.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it by getting caught in the idea of doing our own things.
Yeah, and my hopes would just be like, can't we just at least rally around this one thing to see students trained, equipped, and unleashed to make disciples?
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
Like that. You may do it a different way. It may look different. We may have different emphases, but like ultimately, can we at least say we're in this?
Yeah.
And that you're actively, like, you have real ways that you're doing that and training and equipping them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going after it, and you're going to stay faithful to it, even when it's hard. And, it's so obvious that the enemy divides it, in every which way it can. And yet, I'm firsthand experience of how difficult it is to just unify.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know it's just, we're humans and we got egos, and I, myself included in that. Like, I'm not exempt, by any means. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, even Taylor.
Yeah. What a guy.
His sharing, he's a leader in Alton,
Missouri.
And he's just part of a cool ministry out there that's very similar in how they operate to the underground. And he is also a very blunt black and white man. And he, has that prophetic edge and voice. And he just was talking about unity and just like celebrating. Who cares? Like, they go to that instead of your thing. What?
Disciples are being made, dude.
Yeah. Like, it's not, that can't be what it's about. Can't we just start considering a new way, or just a new way of thinking, and that's why I go, it's important that we are also believers and cheerleaders for other ministries that are training and equipping students to be disciple makers.
Yeah, absolutely. When you sit down with youth pastors and youth leaders, what do you guys talk about? Like, are there certain concerns that come up repeatedly, or what's the main desire even? Do you notice any themes there?
Yeah, a lot of it for me is just trying to go relationally. I want to be good. Mm-hmm. It's just like, because it's one thing to hear something about this ministry or that, and then it's another thing to go, no, I know Mike Otto.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know his heart.
Yeah.
I know his life, and that's not Mike. And I got Mike's back, and he shepherds students well, and he loves them. Mm-hmm. And I'm for that.
Yeah.
And the better him and I can be relationally, the better that we can actually say, whoa, we actually have complementary gifts, not against one another.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just me just saying, I just want to know you. and love who you are and celebrate the ways that you do things and the ways that you're loving and pouring into the next generation. So a lot of it's just life on life. It's not like some strategic meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more of a, let's just know each other.
Yeah.
Because the amount of them that don't know each other is shocking too. And then it's like we go to these networking things in hopes to maybe know each other more, and nobody gets to know each other more.
Yeah.
It's like this awkward space that nobody really, there's no like real depth or transparency that gets hit at any point until there's like that, it's like, well, this is an obvious space that we'd see each other in.
Right.
Well, what about that outside of that obvious space? And I think that's, even as we encourage students and train them, it's like we're telling them, you exist on the basketball team with them, and that's amazing. If you're going to further that relationship, you're probably going to have to ask them to do something outside of the time you have basketball practice.
You're probably going to have to invest in actually knowing them outside of just basketball.
But that's, I don't know.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Otto, by the way.
Yeah. We love Mike. I mean, there's so many guys and gals in our city that I love. And I mean, even just like our Bhutanese brothers, that are just unbelievable leaders and so passionate and faithful and consistent and don't do it for a paycheck. It's like they're doing unbelievable amounts of things, and it's just like, I just want to know you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the equippers need that. Yeah. Like, people who are giving so much to students, we need to care for each other, because the reality is it's tiring. It's hard.
Yeah, and then just to also approach it as like, and I don't have any potion for you.
Yeah.
We haven't figured this out. We're figuring some things out in a different direction, the same space as you, but
yeah.
It's like no posture of we've got it together.
Right.
And if I've ever had that, I repent now, just of even, that's not, I don't want that.
Mm.
I want what's going to unify us and build depth of relationship and love. It's obvious, and how Paul even operated in like the depth of his relationships of those that he was doing ministry alongside.
Yeah.
Were so important. They were pivotal. They were everything, because if he didn't have those, then there would be no elders.
Yeah.
And if he didn't have those, there'd be nothing left of those church plants that popped up.
Yeah.
They would just kind of probably have fallen away and diminished. I mean, just imagine, like, if all they went off was letters from Paul, and then there was nobody physically present, and he couldn't even make it, and there was no relationships there. It would have been a mess. And so it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we're talking about all of the things that we believe with youth pastors and the ways that we want to partner with them, I want to get like tangible and practical of like, what does that actually look like? Even for youth pastors or youth ministry workers who are listening, what does it look like for them to join us in partnership, or for us to join them? I know we have a cool opportunity coming up. Maybe you wanted to share a little bit more on.
Yeah, and even before that, there's things like, can we commit to praying together? Are there any events we can collectively put on our calendar together? A shared calendar usually is a sign of unity, that there's some sense of, we're going to do this together. That's usually a great sign. And then just, I think, collectively saying, are we all committed to helping our students make disciples? And whatever platform that looks like, let's run after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think those are important things to unify in. But then it's just things like, we have students that, all of our students go to another youth group in church, because we're not a youth group. We would just say we're a training and sending agency that's equipping students to live as disciple makers. And they have that consistent community rhythm with their local youth groups. And so, I brought up Mike, but even Mike and I have had conversations about a student where we both have trained, and he's walking with and shepherding and knows their family very well, where we have just trained on the side of disciple making and living missionally. And there's been a lot of conversation around that student between him and I that has been very fruitful, and I would say has deepened Mike and I's relationship and admiration for one another because of our giftings.
Yeah.
And just, that's important. That like, it's okay that a student is going to multiple different things as long as we're all kind of like talking as the workers and equippers and saying, hey, this is really, I'm seeing this pattern with this student. Are you seeing something similar? Is there something that I could be doing better, or I can just help bring awareness to what's going on to you where you maybe not, you don't know in a different circle how they're operating?
Yeah, it reminds me of what we talk about with parents and parenting, but like it really does take a village. So it's like with even high school students and youth ministry, we can band together like that for students.
Yeah. So it starts relationship, and then I think beyond that, you can talk about other next steps, and it's important. And then I think for us, we've had, a decent amount of youth pastors, I would say, around the country. Apparently globally too. We have somebody from Ghana. Asking just more of the details. How are you doing disciple making stuff in the next gen, and how do I get more, and for a while the underground has ran these things called immersives, where they bring people in town, or they've trained people online to just go like, hey, here's how we operate as a hub that is seeking to train and equip and unleash just individuals in their giftings and callings, and where to go and make disciples. And usually it's like a 2 or 3 day thing in person, or it's like over a month or a few months with the underground on Zoom. And we've wanted to create some place where we can invite student pastors that are going, well, I want to do that in my city, and just going, cool, we want to share what we've learned and then help you contextualize that to your city, to your students and your population.
Yep.
So we're going to be doing one of those in May, both of those in May, one online and one in person. And happy to just share the information, and excited for the in-person more. I just don't love Zoom, but I love being able to pour into other youth pastors who are hungry for more. So whatever the platform that makes that easiest, and have depth of relationship that I'm in. The one in person, Roy Moran with New Generations North America, is going to be hosting in his home, and that's just really sweet.
Yeah,
because he's awesome.
He's
and
a great
kind
dude.
of a grandfather in a lot of ways to DMM in North America, and missional thinking and New Generations is awesome and supports a lot of very well-known disciple-making movements around the globe, and helps train and equip those catalytic leaders, and they're even who we're partnering with on the ground when we go to Kenya this summer with our students. So Roy and there's all these, my dad trained him and then sent him to go church plant, and now it's like full circle. He's having me, and
that's cool.
Just kind of a cool moment. So he's going to host us, and him and his wife are cooking, and they have enough rooms and all that. And so we're trying to make it really affordable for any youth pastors. And so that in-person, 99, I believe, is what we set it at. And then the online is going to be one session or it's 4 sessions over 4 weeks. So once a week on Thursdays, 1 to 3 p.m. And they both kick off on May 9th, which is a Thursday. So Thursday night kickoff for the in-person at 5 p.m. And we'll have dinner and go into sessions, and then all day Friday, and then half day Saturday. So people are done by about noon. And then the online would just be every Thursday for 4 weeks, starting May 9th, 1 to 3 p.m. And the online is just $50. And if anybody's listening that is in youth ministry, or just even wants to be encouraged, or knows of somebody that's the other way, I just know that that's super helpful. You can go to the website. That'd be easiest, or we'll put it in the show notes. The website's just zerohourministries.org/learn-more. And I'll put that in the show notes. And then, there's a bunch of ways we're going to push it out via email. So if you don't subscribe to our newsletter, you can easily just jump on our website, subscribe there.
I can't believe you just dropped the URL from memory.
Yeah.
That was so powerful.
Yeah. Just I've been memorizing for the past 7 days. No, I'm just
He gets up
I just
every
was
morning
working
and
on it
looks
all
at
day today. So I was like, yeah. I mean, I really do believe it'll be a powerful place for youth pastors to discover a new option.
Mm.
Not the option, but just a new option. And even if it's just adding a few tools to the tool belt that you already have, I think it will bless anybody in that way. And I think at the bare minimum, it'll give them a tribe to belong to.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I hope and pray that we would be able to even just create some place or space where other youth pastors that are thinking in similar lanes can have somewhere to go back to.
Right.
And because I just tell you, it's lonely if you're really pursuing some of these things, because there's so many ways it's already been done before for a long time. And to try to do something new at all feels insurmountable as the next gen pastor, because it's not like you have a bunch of funds you can just push towards something.
Right.
It's like you got barely any funds yourself. So if you want more, you go get another job. And that's hard. And so we get you. And we want to have people who are just for you and with you and are willing to be in that boat. And sometimes the boat's going to look different. But just to be out on the water with you and just say, we want to lock arms and support you.
Come on. Man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.